Director Spike Lee was making a documentary that I think a lot of people were waiting for. It was a documentary about Colin Kaepernick. And now it is being announced that ESPN, which was supposed to publish that documentary, has pulled out. This is those one times when you pull out and it's not good. It's pulled out in a different way because they are not going to run the documentary. It has been officially canceled. Why? Let's get into it. Spike Lee's Colin Kaepernick docuseries is no longer coming to ESPN, citing creative differences. Oh boy. Oh, buddy. Let's get into this here. Oh, I think I have to keep like that. There we go. A much publicized multi-part docuseries for ESPN Films about the former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick is no longer proceeding with the company. ESPN, Colin Kaepernick, and Spike Lee have collectively decided to no longer proceed with this project as a result of creative differences. That's coming from an ESPN spokesperson. Despite not reaching finality, we appreciate all the hard work and collaboration that went into this film. Reuters first reported the news Saturday night. The global news agency spoke with Spike Lee on the red carpet ahead of the Harold and Carol Pump Foundation dinner. Lee told Reuters, "It's not coming out. That's all I can say." When asked why, Spike Lee declined specifics, citing a non-disclosure agreement. Okay, so let's come out here for just a second. Here's what I heard. Word on the street is that in this particular documentary, Spike Lee, of course, wanted to focus on Colin Kaepernick, but also wanted to create a bigger picture and make the connection between Colin Kaepernick, race, and politics. Maybe that's the creative difference. Maybe ESPN doesn't want that. Maybe they just want the story about Colin Kaepernick. And the question that I have about this as well, since it was created for ESPN, does that mean that he cannot release this documentary elsewhere? Like, let's say he wanted to release it on Amazon or Netflix, or he wanted to just release it on YouTube. Does that mean that he can't do that because the agreement was with ESPN? I don't know. Like, I would have to see what the contract said. But according to Spike Lee, he said it's not coming out. That's all I can say because he has signed that NDA. A source briefed on the breakup confirmed to The Athletic that it was due to creative differences, but the source declined to provide specifics, saying that the two sides failed to get on the same page over the years the project was in development. It is believed the series can still be shopped elsewhere. All right, that's good. I'd hope so. Over the years, there has been reporting about the production delays on the docuseries, and it was tentatively titled The Saga of Colin Kaepernick. Lee told the Washington Post in 2023, "We're still working on it. You know, when I got the call to do it from Cap, I said, of course, but it takes time. This is an opportunity for him to tell his story at length." But last September, it was reported by Matt Baloney what he noted as creative differences in the vision of where the focus of the docuseries should be between Kaepernick's story and a broader telling of the history of Black athletes in professional sports and social justice. Now, 3 weeks before the start of the NFL season, the project is done at ESPN. So it seems like to me, if I were to make an assumption, ESPN does not want that full coverage. They just wanted the story about Colin Kaepernick, and they don't want Spike Lee to make those connections. Now, in defense of Spike Lee, I will say this. As someone who is filming a documentary, it's important that with a documentary, you are telling a story. And I think what Spike Lee may have wanted to do is make the point that it's not just Colin Kaepernick. What happened to him and why it happened to him is connected to others, and there's more to this story. To me, that makes sense. When I'm looking at documentaries, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the bigger picture, not just this one little thing happened, yada, yada, right? And we've done that with my documentary as well. It's a big picture that people need to look at. And I'll also say this. Working on a documentary is a lot of work. You put in a lot of hours. I've put in a lot of hours, a lot of time. There's a lot of editing. There's a lot of B-roll that you have to gather. Sometimes you have to rework things. Sometimes you have to reshoot things. I've had to reshoot things a couple of times. Like, these are things you just learn along with the process. And I'm just wondering, I do sincerely hope that the documentary is published somewhere. Otherwise, that's just a lot of work that has been wasted. Now, I want to show you this because Spike Lee was just recently on Al Sharpton's show on MSNBC. I know, but he was just recently on there, and he's not talking about the documentary again because he signed the NDA, but he was talking about his new film with Denzel Washington, which he has another one with him. They've worked together quite a bit, called Highest to Lowest. And he's also talking about how people need to wake up. Listen to this.
Go to another issue with you. We're both New Yorkers, and the city's picking a new mayor in November. Currently, State Assemblyman Zoran Mandami is leading in the polls, and you were early favorable looking at him. In fact, you came to National Action Network both times he came, and on the platform with him. And it's a crowded field, but Mandami has a link to Denzel as well. His mother, filmmaker Mir Nair, all right, I got it right, directed Washington in the 1991 film Mississippi Masala.
Pause here for a second. So do you see that there's Spike Lee right there behind Zoran Mandami? Which I guess doesn't surprise me because remember, Spike Lee did support Bernie Sanders. So he tends, he's more like progressive. He supports like the progressive policies. And then there's a part of me that wondered about this. What if this has something to do with it? Again, like I told you, it seems like he wanted to create a broader picture of not just about Kaepernick, but the connection to this has happened maybe to other athletes in sports as well, and bringing in that connection with race and politics. And now I'm starting to wonder, what if there was something in the documentary that Spike Lee said about politics that would support more of the progressive style of policy, and ESPN doesn't want that? We got to look at all different angles, because I don't really think it's just the broader picture about race or whatever. I'm looking at the political field here as well. And like I said, they said here on the show, Al Sharpton said, you seem to support Zoran Mandami. He also supported Bernie Sanders. So I wonder if the political angle is something that ESPN also may not want. Something to think about.
Masala, talk to us more about those relationships that people might know in the political world that factored into looking at somebody in a positive way.
Well, everything does not happen in the open.
Right.
And a lot of times, the important stuff is in the back room. You know what I'm talking about. So,
I know.
The people in the room, they're making moves, and no one else knows what's happening. All of a sudden, this thing jumps out of the sky. So we're, as you know, this country right now it's bananas, and this guy trying to take over DC and just weaponize these things. And I mean, he's going to think twice to try to do that in New York, though.
So this makes me wonder if it is the political angle. Now, I know some people said that, of course, I know he supported Kamala Harris in 2024, but he did support Bernie Sanders in 2020. So this makes me wonder if ESPN doesn't want the political angle. They don't want the politics. They don't want, because they may feel, well, that's going to alienate some of our viewers. We got conservatives that watch us. We got like Democrats that watch us. Maybe they don't want all that. Maybe they don't want anything that leans towards the progressive politics. Maybe they don't want any criticism really of Donald Trump on ESPN either. These are all things to look at. But this gentleman here is not happy either, because he said he was a part of the documentary and he's like, yo, what's up? I was interviewed by Spike Lee for Colin Kaepernick documentary. What happened to it? So, yeah. Let's go here. A number of people were interviewed for the documentary. I was likely one of many dozens, if not hundreds. It didn't matter if I was a small fry in an ocean of stars. You have to understand what Lee means to me. A lot of me's to a lot of Black people. Lee is one of the great truth tellers, one of the strongest, one of the smartest, the best of us, of all of us. Yada, yada. Lee knew that I had covered Kaepernick's protest movement extensively, and the interview focused partly on that and on other aspects tangential to the former quarterback. Lee was gracious, and when the interview concluded, extremely thankful. Some people say never meet your heroes. I'm glad I met mine. I say all this because actually there are two heroes in the story. One is Lee and the other is Kaepernick, which is why the documentary made so much sense. So what the hell happened? Reuters was the first to make the report, yada, yada. Lee said he couldn't discuss why because he signed the NDA. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure we'll ever fully find out. When I see the words non-disclosure agreement, that sounds like the secrets around why all of this happened won't be revealed anytime soon, if ever. When Lee says it's not coming out, does that mean ever or just on ESPN? Can the project be salvaged? I don't know. What I do know is that this is all incredibly sad and it is devastating. So yeah, he apparently is a part of that documentary. And so he just wants to know, is that going to come out? But I will say this, even if you are interviewed for something, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are in the final cut, right? So it's funny. I've had friends that have been extras before because they do extras calls here in Boston and stuff like that. I have another friend in North Carolina who is an extra. She's been in a bunch of these things. And sometimes the scenes that she participates in make it to the screen and sometimes they don't, So a lot of times, like sometimes people do edit and remove information. But I don't know. I would hope that the documentary would still come out. I don't know about the ESPN angle there though. But I just think that some of this is political. And I think that some of these networks, whether it's sports, whether it's news networks, I think some of them just don't want to rock that boat. And that could be what it is for ESPN. I think they don't want to rock the political boat. I think they just want to focus on the sports and not have people that are part of the audience say, oh, I'm offended because they talked about this particular, politician, that type of thing. So, King's Kid said the NFL don't want to be examined about how they really market their brand. Yeah, I just don't think they want this attention, guys. I don't think they want to go down that road. Yeah. Priest said, wasn't he the first to take a knee? What else did he do? I don't even know if he was the first ever, but yeah, Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the Black Lives Matter movement and continued to take one. He was not re-signed. And from that point, from what I understand, I do know that Colin Kaepernick has been organizing on the outside. He's donated money to organizations to help the Black community. I do know that. So he has become more of an activist, but he always had this wish that he would come back to football and continue to play as a quarterback. For those who are wondering about the stats, I can give you a little bit of tidbit from what I do remember, which is that Colin Kaepernick took over for, I believe it was Alex Smith, who was the QB of the San Francisco 49ers. When Alex got hurt, Cap came in. If I remember correctly, they made it to the playoffs. Was that the year they made it to the I think they made it to the playoffs Either they made it to the Super Bowl that year or the year after. I forget. But he did go to a Super Bowl. They lost against the Ravens. So it wasn't like Colin Kaepernick was a scrub. Like, he was able to get them there. I don't know, guys. I just don't think they want they want to deal with the political stuff. And I think that's what they don't want you to know, to be honest. That's right. See, people know in the chat. Red said they played the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Yep. I remember. I remember. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.